Hello and welcome to another episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I'm Eric Smith, your host, and today I want to talk about the book I just finished reading, which is Guardians of the Galaxy, Rocket, Raccoon, and Groot-Steal the Galaxy. It's a long title. There's the book with that fantastic artwork on the cover. There's more fantastic artwork on the back cover. This is by Dan Abnett, and I don't know who the publisher is. It says Marvel.com, but you know, who knows? I don't know. Anyway, okay, so at the time I'm recording this, the Guardians of the Galaxy movie is out, and it's huge, and I saw it twice, and it was fantastic. But right off the bat, you have the Marvel comic book universe, and you have the Marvel movie universe. And while they're very similar, there are some distinct differences. This book takes place firmly in the Marvel comic book universe. Which isn't to say that if the only reason you know Guardians of the Galaxy is because of the movie, that you're not going to enjoy this. You will. Trust me. So the author, Dan Abnett, probably maybe best known for his Warhammer novels, Gaunt's Ghosts series. If that's not what he's best known for, I'd say it's his comic book work. Used to write with Andy Lanning, which is where I first discovered Dan Abnett. They did a comic called Resurrection Man for DC, which I thought was fantastic. And he's written some other stuff. Those are probably Warhammer and his comic book stuff, probably what he's best known for. I love his stuff. I've been a fan of Guardians of the Galaxy for a long time. Been a fan of Rocket Raccoon since the 80s. He had a miniseries in, I think, 1985, which I bought. Which I think was my first exposure to him, but I've been a fan since then. Groot has been around since 1960. Before I was born, so wasn't a fan back then. But became a fan through different... I read a reprint of that original appearance when he was a bad guy trying to take over the Earth. He's gone through different permutations. And these characters, Rocket and Groot, are, I would say, definitely the breakout characters in both the movie and the comic book. And they make a great team. They're very entertaining. This is all leading up to the book. I'm getting to it, don't worry. So, yeah, Guardians kind of big right now. Oh, and Marvel recently, in the past, they've had original novels. I have some old paperbacks, I believe from the 70s, original novels that they did. Then in the aughts, I believe, they did a lot of original novels. Most recently, they've been doing novelizations of storylines. I'm looking up at my shelf over there. There's New Avengers, Civil War, Iron Man, some X-Men stuff. This is all original. So in their new batch of books that they're putting out, this is the first original novel in this batch. Let's see, I've got 4 on the shelf. I think there might be a 5th one out. So this is either the 5th or 6th in this sort of new batch, but it's all original story. And it's an incredibly entertaining story. Obviously, it focuses on Rocket, Raccoon, and Groot. And what's going on is they're taking a hiatus from the Guardians of the Galaxy and just trying to make a little money, and they get involved in this big thing. There's a lot of stuff that non-comic book fans, I'm going to have to kind of explain a little bit. There's this group of beings, the Rigelians. I think that's how you say it. What they do is they build these androids called recorders, and they send them out into the universe to record everything. That's what they do. Well, someone is looking for this particular recorder, recorder 127, I believe it is, and Rocket and Groot inadvertently come to the recorder's rescue, and that's where the adventure takes off. The majority of this story is told by the recorder. And as I said, they're androids. Typically, in the comics, when you see them, they're very straightforward, robot-like. They will always say things like, "Query, where am I?" Statement, "I do not like this situation." So this recorder goes into narrative mode to tell the story, and he attempts to make the story accessible to the Terran reader's sensibilities. So there's a lot of pop culture references and things. As he will say a few times, he's just trying to make it palatable for the human reader. He wants to make it understandable. The references are all focused on someone from Earth. So basically that's it. Rocket and Groot inadvertently help this recorder, and seeing an opportunity, take the recorder with them to see what's going on, and all sorts of hell breaks loose. There are tons of cameos and guest stars and things. You've got all sorts of different alien races, some of which are kind of referred to in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, but if you're familiar with Marvel Comics, especially the cosmic stuff, you're going to know the Kree and the Skrulls and the Badoon and the Shi'ar. All these different people get involved in what's going on with the recorder. So it's a very fast-paced, action-packed book, and what I was reminded of while I was reading this was, I almost said Guardians of the Galaxy, which would make sense since it's Guardians novel. No, what I was reminded of was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is still the funniest book I have ever read. But Dan Abnett's style for this book, I felt, was very reminiscent of the style of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I don't know if it's a British thing, that British humor. I can't think of any American writers or any other writers that have that sort of style, especially when it comes to the comedy writing. But I felt it was very, very reminiscent of Douglas Adams' style and The Hitchhiker's Guide and all those books. Not as funny, because I don't think there's anything that's as funny as Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but still a very funny book, and action-packed, and the characters, again, might seem a little different if you only know them from the Guardians movie, but I think you'll enjoy it anyway, whether you've only seen the Guardians movie, whether you've seen the Guardians movie and read the comics, or if you're coming at this without really any knowledge of these guys at all. It's still a fun, exciting, fast-paced science fiction comedy, comic book novel, I suppose, would cover all my bases. And I really love the artwork on here. Just lovely stuff. Great characters. Rocket, just, come on, a homicidal raccoon with giant guns. How can you go wrong? And a talking tree. So yeah, I don't want to mention any of the guest stars or cameos, because that's part of the fun for me, at least, of reading something like this, especially being a lifelong comic book fan and a Guardians of the Galaxy fan for years and years and years. I like reading these things and go, oh hey, there's so and so, and wow, I can't believe they threw these people in there. And there's again, if you're not a big fan of the comics, there are references you're not going to get, but that's not going to spoil it. Reading anything, you're not going to know what everything is. You could be reading the New York Times #1 bestseller, and one of the characters mentions their favorite TV show. Doesn't mean it's a TV show you've heard of. Doesn't spoil your enjoyment of the book. And you might look it up and find out it's something you like. Well, same thing here. They mention a planet or a race or a character. Just because you don't know who they are isn't going to change your enjoyment of this book. And again, maybe you'll look it up and find something new that you can enjoy. Excuse me. So, you know, I don't want to give too much away, as always. I'm not sure what more I can say. Dan Abnett did a fantastic job. I mean, a lot of the stuff I've read by him, well, maybe I shouldn't say a lot. Some of it is lighthearted, but I think this is probably the funniest, straight up funniest thing that I've read. I don't think his Warhammer stuff is funny at all, because that's just not a funny universe. But yeah, incredibly funny. And that's not to say that it's not, you know, it's not all about the funny. There is the entire multiverse is in jeopardy. So there are some serious stakes in the book. It's just a matter of the comedy along the way, I suppose. So that's the book, and now it's time for the Low Budget Review Show Theater. And for the first time ever in Low Budget Review Show Theater history, I actually have figures that match what I read. And for those of you who don't know, this is where I act out a scene from the book using toys. The scene is never actually from the book. It's just my interpretation. But I actually have Groot and Rocket. These are not to scale. So, here we go. Low Budget Review Show Theater presents a scene from Guardians of the Galaxy, Rocket, Raccoon, and Groot Steal the Galaxy. End scene. I am Groot. Yeah, I know, buddy, but we need to go this way. I am Groot. Because they're shooting at us. I am Groot. Ah, I give up. And that's it. That was pretty exciting, wasn't it? Actually, that is pretty close to one of the scenes in the book. Because there's a lot of people shooting at them. Anyway, I love my little figures here. They're actually from two different collections, which is why they're not to scale. Although, I mean, Rocket would be like this big if he were on there. Okay, I'm done playing with my toys. So, that's about it. Guardians of the Galaxy, Rocket and Raccoon and Groot Steal the Galaxy, by Dan Abnett. An original novel of the Marvel Universe. Funny, exciting, very comic booky. And I recommend it if you just want to have a good time and laugh and enjoy some interesting characters. If you're a fan of the movie and don't want to delve into all the back history of the comic book, but you want a little more of the characters before the sequel comes out, pick this up and read it. Although you can get trade paperbacks and read the comics too. So as always, if there are any comments, corrections, or questions, please put them in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Oh, I did pick this up at Barnes & Noble. Of course, you know, with the movie coming out, they had a big end cap display with all sorts of stuff. That's actually where I got these as well, and some other things. But I will put a link down below where you can find the book online. And I think I've covered everything. You know, I kind of do these off the top of my head, but I do think ahead a little bit once I decide what book I'm going to review. But then as soon as I start, it all just leaks out. And I tend to forget some of the things I wanted to say, but I think I covered everything. Marvel novels, Dan Abnett, Warhammer, comic books, movie. I think that's it. So I recommend it. If you like things like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I think you're going to like this. Very good style. Also brings to mind Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett's Good Omens. Again, I think it's that British sense of humor and that British style. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. So that's it for this episode of the Low Budget Review Show. Until next time, read more books.